Now, right here, right here,
Are you on a computer?
iPad.
Uh,
This case right here is very interesting. But watch right here, starting right here. Regarding the so-called certificate of birth, it is obvious that, again, due to defendant's own testimony, the ground stated by defendant at trial for his objection is feckless. He testified that his mother was named Bertie Williams, states exhibit number 13, listed the mother of the person whose date of birth was given as Bertie Williams. See, the spelling's different. It would have been, however, a proper ground of objection that states exhibit number 13 is not really a certified copy of any official record, so as to be admissible under General Statutes 130-66, 834, and 835. The exhibit, while labeled a certified certificate of birth, purports to be an original document, which, over the signature of the deputy registrar, merely summarizes certain information, which is apparently recorded in the Office of Vital Statistics in Mecklenburg County on birth certificate number 868. Thus, State's Exhibit number 13 is no more than the deputy registrar of assertion of what she found on the recorded birth certificate. As such, it was double hearsay and inadmissible. Why? It's not the actual record, and it's the deputy registrar's assertion of what's in the record. So it's not a true certified record. Because why?
The paper that's in the vote is the actual record.
Well, not only that, no, it's going to be hearsay, not double hearsay. Because why? State don't have no firsthand knowledge unless they sitting there watching your wife get undressed and watching the baby come out and this, that, and the other. Was the state ever there? Can they bring the doctor 30 years later into the office to testify? Yep, that's him. I watched him come out. They give you these little freaking hints, but we have to learn to read.
Got to create your own record. That's what I'm getting from it.
And look right here, hearsay. Testimony that is given by a witness who relates not what he or she knows personally. That's firsthand knowledge. If they know it personally, that's firsthand knowledge. But what others have said, and that is therefore dependent on the credibility of someone other than the witness. So is the record credible? Such testimony is generally inadmissible under the rules of evidence. In federal law, a statement, either a verbal assertion or a nonverbal assertive conduct, other than one made by the declarant while testifying at the trial or hearing, offered in evidence to prove the truth of the matter asserted. The declarant would be the one who declares something to be true, aka, have you declared who you are? Double hearsay, a hearsay statement that contains further hearsay statements within it. So the birth certificate or certificate of live birth is double hearsay. Why? It's not the actual record. So it in and of itself is hearsay to the record. And since it's not the record, it's double hearsay. None of which is admissible unless exceptions to the rule against hearsay can be applied to each level. So you got two levels of hearsay that the rule has to be applied. They have to have witnesses come in and testify to the veracity of that record. And you know how impossible that is if you know what you're doing? Inferential hearsay, hearsay that is implied in testimony that suggests the contents of a conversation that is not explicitly disclosed by the testimony. So there's inferential. So that record infers that it's you when you go in there saying the wrong things, accepting the wrong things. But if you know how to rebut it, it'll never stand. Let's email that.
Objection, Your Honor. That's hearsay.
Well, you get them on the stand to testify to the facts, and then you point blank ask them, "Do you have any firsthand knowledge of that information?" Well, no. Well, how do you know it's factual? Oh, I don't. Then why are you here testifying then? Claiming it is. Wouldn't that be a lie? Maybe. See, people don't even understand hearsay. They don't understand what is what. And that's why they continue to go around blaming the government.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna read them different hearsay definitions again, man. So make sure all my statements ain't never on no hearsay type shit. Excuse my French.
Huh. Watch this. What's up, Mona? How you doing? I tried to get you to come in here the other day because Popeye, he was talking about his mortgage case, and he would have been a great help to your situation.
Oh, I missed it.
Mm-hmm.
Missed it. Hey, I missed it too.
Popeye has them backed into a freaking corner. He's done ran 2 attorneys and a debt collector off of the case. They're running for the hills.
Oh, I need to talk to Papa. Indeed.
When you know how the system works, then you can navigate the system and know what they did.
I agree.
Merry Christmas, by the way.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you.
So what is your question, though? I know you said you had a question about it, something you found.
Yeah, I went on the record I pulled all my paperwork for a house that I used to own, got foreclosed on years ago. And on every single document, the address is wrong. And it's wrong 2 different ways. So my question is, did they really foreclose on the property?
Well,
If the address is listed incorrectly?
well, technically speaking, the mortgage had nothing to do with it, with the house anyway.
So what are they actually foreclosing on then? Are they, because I noticed that there is a property description with the lots and meets and bounds, and then I see there's an address. So what are they foreclosing on?
No, they're foreclosing on the trust because why? They're coming in as trustees. You just don't realize it because why? They created a trust. Didn't they put it a warranty deed or a deed of trust?
Mm-hmm.
That means there's trustees and beneficiaries. Well, that's why they do mortgage-backed securities, because why? The investors in the securities are the beneficiaries. They're actually foreclosing because why? They're not making any money off you because they've had you volunteering to give your wealth to them.
I also found some type of payment there too that they said was unclaimed. And they said they send it to the Treasury for unclaimed funds. And then when I go to the Treasury for unclaimed funds, it's not there.
Yeah, it's there. You're just not looking in the right place. You're not looking under the right name. After it sits there for so long, which typically is 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, they will come in and file a 1099-A and claim it.
Mm-hmm. And that's what it said here. It said 5 years.
Okay. So you issued a note. The note was the payment for the house. What did they do with the note?
That's what I don't know.
You should.
Hey, it might be another derivative on there, Pastor. A derivative.
You should know what was going on. They tell you in Title 12.
Okay, I gotta read Title 12 because I have no idea. I'll be learning this stuff now because I bought the house years ago when I was in my 20s and knew nothing. I didn't even know these documents were on the record. I never even knew that in my 20s.
Can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. Now, look at this. I've went over this in your group. Applications for notes, collateral required. You can go read this on your own thing, but right here. The collateral security thus offered shall be notes, drafts, bills of exchange, and acceptances under those sections. What did I tell you back in the day? Go back into the file section. Right here. Under the new law, the money is issued to the banks in return for government obligations, bills of exchange, drafts, notes, trade acceptances, and bankers' acceptances. What did you do? You issued a note. They codified it in 12 U.S.C. 412. You were the issuer of the note in the name of the trust. You gave it to the Federal Reserve agent. The Federal Reserve notes to be issued at the discretion of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System for the purposes of making advances to the Federal Reserve banks through the Federal Reserve agents as hereinafter set forth for no other purposes are authorized. The said note shall be obligations of the United States and shall be receivable by all national and member and Federal Reserve banks for all taxes, customs, and other public dues. They shall be redeemed in lawful money on demand at the Treasury Department of the United States in the city of Washington, District of Columbia, or at any Federal Reserve Bank. Now, let's go back to this. They didn't get rid of the gold. Under the Federal Reserve Act, obligations that are deposited as the security in gold for reserve notes are placed in the hands of the Federal Reserve agent. They codified that in 12 U.S.C. 411. You issued a note as a collateral security. Now that becomes a debt to the bank. The bank does one of two things. They have to get rid of the debt and convert it to an asset. Why? Do you want to pay any debts? They don't want to either. And debts are taxed. So guess what? They take it to the treasury window, sell the debt, and receive T-bills. They convert that debt they owe to an asset. And if they don't do that, they put it in a security, and your payments go to that security. So either way, they converted it to an asset. One is where the abandon, and both of them fall under the 1099-A if you don't ever claim it. Not only that, do you know that there's only one party that holds the original note? How many times have you heard people fighting these mortgage companies, Mona? They say, show me the original note. They don't hold the original note. There's only one party that holds the original. Can you guess who that might be?
My guess would be the United States.
No.
Secretary of
No.
State.
Nope.
That's
You
us.
hold the original note. Because why? Everything is mortgaged under the USDA. And the US, even though your note might say copy on the signature line, the USDA has told John Eric Roca that if you sign it, it will be treated as if it is the original. And then you go down to your Department of Revenue or county recorder and pay the revenue stamp on it. They will stamp the document. You can literally go into court and say, Your Honor, I've been waiting for payment all these years. I hold the original. Now it's up to the bank to prove you wrong, and they can't. You're the original. You're the issuer. See what I'm saying about people don't know what they got because they don't read the rules? John Eric Roca called the USDA and talked to them about the mortgage and said, I've got this right here. It says copy on the signature line. How do you view it? They said, if you sign it, it's going to be just as if it's the original. So you've been holding the original note all this time. You just didn't know how to recognize it, and you didn't know how to enforce it. Not only that, you don't have your ledgering system and accounting system set up. They sit there, they'll come into court with their ledgering system, but where's your ledgering system to rebut it, Mona? Remember the first use of fail video, sovereign citizen fail? At the end of the video, the judge asked the plaintiff, do you have your ledger? What did the guy in the blue shirt not have? His ledger. He sat here and told the court he issued a negotiable instrument. Where's it at in your ledger? Well, he don't have one. He even asked him, what's backing your instrument? People don't even know how to create an asset-backed note for it to be valid. They're not doing the revenue stamps right. They don't do all this stuff. So what happens? They're getting run all over. But yet you see it every day in your life because you get a bill in the mail, you get a statement with a coupon, and on the coupon it has all the pertinent information that would be in the company's ledger. It's got the account number, reference number, this information, that information. Why aren't you reverse engineering what they do and learn how to enforce it so you have your ledgering system? And you can go into court and say, well, Your Honor, I issued this note. I've been waiting for payment. Here's the original. Here's my ledger. Here's my account. People don't even know how to create account numbers. I've had people tell me, well, how do I create an account number? Put some numbers and letters or however you want to write it on the top of your ledger. That's your master account number. We've got to the point we use computers, and they think that I have to go to some other company to create an account. No, you can create your own. How did they do it before the invention of computers? They did it on freaking paper. John Doe LLC down the street, they put an account number on his ledger. That's the master account. The references numbers would go back to what vendor they're doing business with or however numbering system they use. And they could take their ledger to court and say, yeah, I did business with this person. Here's my accounting. Now you're learning how to be accountable. The banks ain't committing fraud. It's all our ignorance that's getting us in trouble. Because when you start becoming aware and you start doing things right, and then you can start defending it, and they have no leg to stand on. See what I'm saying, Mona?
I do.
See, that's why Popeye is so dangerous. That's why he's got them backed into a corner. He started an administrative process asking them, I think, 19 questions, and they didn't answer them. They answered them, but they didn't do it properly. So it might as well be that they didn't answer. So then he filed against them in court. He's got them locked into a contract. See, that is actually what the system is afraid of, that we will wake up. That's why they're trying to change it right now, because they see what's coming. When the people start becoming aware of how to do things, it scares them, because why? Then they can't treat us like sheep anymore.
Hey man, they see an avalanche coming.
Yep. So you got any questions, Mona?
No, I'm just gonna go. I have to read Title 12. I'm gonna come back with questions. I assure you that.
Hey, I put a book in your group called Commercial Paper and Payment Law, and I said, everybody read it. If you want to get the basics of banking, you need to read it.
I think somebody said that I skimmed through the chat and it was like, Pastor Lloyd said he put this book there so long ago.
Yes.
hmm
I got the information in front of everyone, and the majority of the people are refusing to read. So guess what? I can't help those. I can only help those understand if they're going to do the work.
I'm gonna do the work. I'm gonna read Title 12.
Read that book too. It's less than a 400-page book.
I shall.
Because then you start getting to the point where you start seeing how things fit together. And that's why I even said last night, I told everybody my plan is by the end of the year to have the bank set up for the church. Right now, I'm in the process of getting all my paperwork in order first.
Peace. Question, Pastor.
Yes, sir.
I definitely appreciate the reminder about keeping a ledger. Do you have any recordings or, I guess, any recommendations for where somebody should maybe start listening or watching to get the accounting principles down and start keeping a proper ledger?
I'm actually going to be doing a class next month on it. I'm going to do it on how to perfect the administrative process and how to do a ledger, how to create one. And that's what I'm planning on doing next month.
Okay, perfect. Beautiful.
Hey, Pastor.
Yes, sir.
How's it going?
Doing good.
Good. Just a quick question. Actually, I got two questions. One, are you going to be advertising for that class? Are you going to post it somewhere before you actually do it?
Yes, I will.
Okay. The other question is about mortgage. If I got a mortgage and I've got the cash to pay it off, is it better for me to pay it off and then try to go after the bank, or go after the bank before you pay it off?
That's really your choice either way. I mean, if you want to hold off and just make your payments and put that money somewhere where it's actually doing good for you, do that. That way, in the meantime, you're not spending out all this money and you're taking the time to learn. So that way, when you're ready to go get all that money back, you can.
Right. Well, I'm just following some of the stuff that they're talking about, the finances in the bank. Something's going to happen with people that have debt owed to the bank property. How true that is, but there, even here in Canada, there's a couple people that have been talking about that. So some financial advisors have been saying that those who have debt with the bank, there's something that's going to change with the new system. So if you clear off your debt, then they can't come after your property. But if you hold debt against your property, they can actually come and do you some harm.
Yeah, that's why you got to convert your debt to assets. How do you do that? Ledgering. Now it's up to them to prove the opposite.
Right.
And then if you understand the real party and interest rule, okay, who's the person at that bank that has the firsthand knowledge that I didn't do this?
No one. Yeah, so it's kind of a toss in between, either you pay it off or you put it.
That's really a personal choice. If you decide to pay it off, you got a minimum 3 years, a maximum possibly 5. I don't know. You're going to have to research when it applies to a mortgage. If you have 5 years, then you've got 5 years to learn, and you can go recoup all that money anyway.
Right.
Okay. It's just really your choice. I mean, you can do something under the way you're used to doing it. There's always a time frame to go back.
I've tried to talk to the bank and ask him about the accounting and all that stuff. They're just giving me the runaround, and I know they're not going to cooperate.
No,
So,
because it's not their job to hold your hand.
right.
But when you know what to add, when you know the rules, then you start knowing how to ask for things. And then if they don't do it, now they're in violation of the rules.
So where would you recommend reading that stuff, Pastor? That commercial book you're talking about in the file section?
It's in the file section.
Yeah, I'm gonna write it
Again,
down.
I don't make people pay for information. Hey, if you want to do the class, great. I'll park my truck and devote my time to you. If you don't want to, read the book.
Hey, so I didn't know that you can actually do a class, like a one-on-one class.
Actually, no, the classes typically are not one-on-one. It's people who sign up for them.
Yeah.
But they get my devotion. They get my attention. They get access to my resources. I share all the documents and everything.
Okay, I'm gonna write this down because in January I've got time. I'm off of work,
Mm-hmm.
so I've got time to do this. So how do I get in there and take
I'll
one of these?
announce it on the website.
Oh, so it's not there now. You're saying you're talking about the upcoming class.
Yeah, I'll put it up on the website. I'll give people plenty of notice.
Okay, but so there's nothing right now that I can do to learn about that mortgage, that you have classes.
Yeah. Yes, read that book.
Okay, you're confusing me. You said either read the book or I'm going to park my truck and I'm going to help you out.
No, I'm not saying, look, that stuff is all together. I'm not saying either or.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so can you tell me the name of it, Pastor, again, please? I'm writing it down.
Commercial paper. Just search that. You'll find it. It's got a blue banner on the front of the book. You're going to see it. It's in the file section.
Gotcha. Okay, that's just the book. Now, you don't have a course that corresponds to that book.
No, I do not.
Okay, you don't. Okay, gotcha. So it's basically just reading the book.
Well, I don't really need to do one that corresponds to the book. Why? I mean, the book says it all. Do I need to reinvent the wheel?
No, I know, Pastor, but there's some of us, and I'm one of them. I'll read some of this stuff, and then I got to go through all the difficult words that I don't.
That's why I'm here, so you can ask questions.
Yeah, so when I go through the book, I got to underline all the words that I don't know what means, and
that's also why there's dictionaries on my website, free to download. Multiple dictionaries.
Yes.
Legal dictionaries, all the way back to 1691.
But you see, I can devote about 4 hours a day, right? So a 400-page document for me will probably take me 2 years.
I doubt it'll take you that long.
Because I got to I have to look at all the words, a lot of this stuff I don't even.
Let me tell you how to read it. You got to learn how to read. You read it first. Don't worry about looking anything up. Just do a cursory read like you would read a novel.
Right.
Then when you go back and read it a second time, then you start going through the source information. Why? Repetition. Get you a notebook pad. Take down notes. Write your questions down. Because why? You have 5 senses. Okay? The way to learn is what? The more of those senses you use, the quicker you're going to learn it. If you have a book reader, read it and read along. You're using 2 senses. If you're sitting down reading it and taking notes and looking things up, you're using sight, you're using touch, might be using hearing. If you have something else, read it and you pause it when you're going to go look something up. The more senses you use, the quicker you are going to remember. That's how we used to learn in elementary school, right? We had to
Yeah.
touch the book, write the words, listen to the teacher. We were using multiple senses. We don't do that no more. We want to watch a video. Well, yes, you can do that, but you're going to have to watch that video a whole lot more times because you're basically using 2 instead of 3 senses. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now,
Gotcha.
if you're watching a class and you're using hearing for the class, and then you use touch for the book and touch for the notepad, and you're reading along, now you're using 3 senses. Sometimes 4, because if the book is paper, then it has a smell, so you're smelling it too.
Yeah, I just find that classes to me is more like, because you get the answer right away. I mean, I can remember stuff. It's just looking it up. And a lot of time the issues that I find is that you look up a word and then it gives you an even more difficult answer. And you got
Not
to look that
necessarily.
one up, you know?
Not necessarily. But
Well, I
yeah,
know in Canada there's lots of, like I'll give you an example. Under the Security Transfers Act, it says, definition of a security. So you go there, you go security, and it says, okay, security is a financial asset if deposited in a securities account. Well, I got to look all of that. What's a securities account? I kind of know what a financial asset is, but in reference to that. And then you look up the word financial asset in the same Security Transfers Act, and it says it's a security. So you're kind of stuck in a circle. So financial asset equals a security if it's in a securities account, and then a security equals a financial asset. So then you got to try to figure out what they're actually talking about right there, a financial asset, which goes back to the Banking Act, where you find out what promissory note and all this stuff turns into financial assets. Right. So that's kind of what I'm saying. But when you talk to a guy like you that's already been through that stuff or understand this stuff easier than other people, you can say, okay, hey, what they mean here is that actually when you sign this piece of paper, that equals money. Oh, okay, now I get it. Okay, so my signature created the money. So see, that's what I mean. But when I gotta go in through it and look through it, it's like, oh my gosh. So for me, like a class would be, I definitely jump on that instead of reading.
I understand. I absolutely do.
Because the wisdom, if you already have the wisdom and the knowledge on that, it's easier. Even like listening to some of when all the stuff that you guys are talking about, you just pick up on some of the, the little things that you say, and I pick up on that right away. Right. And a lot of things like you said the other day, I just started laughing and I went, oh my God, like how can anybody think about that? You said, well, like in court, you said I started laughing. It's just like, it's unbelievable. It's so easy. Only the trustee can make decisions on behalf of the trust. Talking about the judge,
Yep.
which
Now
is true.
Look right here. See this document? It's in the file section. As noted above, since you talked about securities, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, federal securities law. The note, as noted above, the term security is broadly defined by statute. Section 2A1 of the Securities Act of 1933 is representative. Guess what? Typically nobody does. They don't go read the act. The term security means any note, stock, treasury stock, bond, debenture, evidence of indebtedness, certificate of interest, or participation in any profit sharing agreement, collateral trust certificate. Oh, that's a security. Reorganization certificate. How many times has government done reorganization? Or subscription. Oh, what's a subscription? Transferable share, investment contract, voting trust certificate, certificate of deposit for a security, fractional undivided interest in oil, gas, or other mineral rights, any put, call, straddle, option, or privilege on any security, certificate of deposit, or group of index of securities, including any interest therein, or based on the value thereof, or any put, call, straddle, option, privilege entered into in a national securities exchange relating to foreign currency, or in general, any interest or instrument commonly known as a security, or any certificate of interest or participation in, temporary or interim certificate for, receipt for, guarantee of, or warrant of right. Wait a minute, a warrant of right? To subscribe to or purchase any of the foregoing. That's a big list of what is considered a security.
Yeah, we have the similar. We have the Security Transfers Act is similar to that. I've read part of it. Most of the time, I fall asleep reading it.
And look right here, I talked about it the other day. Every person engaged in the business of dealing in, you are in the business of dealing in because you issue or buying or discounting what? Installment paper, notes, bonds, contracts. Why? Contracts have value. Or evidences of debt for which at the time of or in the connection with the execution of instruments a lien is reserved or taken upon personal property located in this state to secure the payment of obligations. Whose obligations? Government obligations. Go back to the March 9th, 1933 congressional record. Shall submit to the secretary quarterly no later than the 20th day of January, April, July, and October. Don't they tell you to do your taxes every quarter? Of each year upon forms prescribed by the secretary, a full, accurate, and complete statement verified by who? Officer, agent. How many times did I tell you you're an agent for the trust?
Yeah.
Or person making the statement of the total face value of the obligations dealt in, bought, or discounted within the preceding 3 calendar months. And at the same time shall pay the tax of 277 thousandths of 1% of the face value of these obligations. What is all that? Accounting.
Yeah, I definitely have to learn that stuff for sure. Because
And I sat here and showed everybody. They put it right in front of your face. What is this? This is the firm book, certificate of mailing. What does it say here? Above the dotted line, USPS tracking number. Below the dotted line, specific firm specific identifier. What is that identifier? That's your account. The account number with the reference number. They sit here and put it in your face. You're just not seeing it because you're not thinking that way.
Well, we're not trained for that. No.
It's not their job to train you.
No, I know it's not their job, but we're not trained. Like this is the like as of 3 years ago, I was a peaceful guy and minding my own business, and then all of a sudden, I'm in court trying to figure this stuff out. So this is stuff it's been thrown in my lap, and I understand I have to learn it. It's hard because after 50 some years, you've never been involved in that kind of stuff, and all of us, even yourself, you said you'd been involved in family court and stuff. It has to start somewhere, and
that's
this
right.
Is, and this is where it is, and now we're trying to undo this mess. But some people, like all these attorneys and stuff, they go to school when they're 20 years old, or 18. And we gotta, like, I'm in my 50s, I gotta start learning this stuff, and my kids, I gotta take care of that at the same time. Which is, like I said, I do about 4 or 5 hours every night. I try to dedicate in reading their books and their stuff. And, I just wish I could hire somebody that could help me, like take some kind of little course, like if you want to learn anything trapping or you want your hunting course, gun course, you go and you take a course and you learn how to do it. And I wish I wish I wouldn't have to be the teacher and the student at the same time.
When the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Pastor, talk to you.
Do what, ma'am?
May I talk to you? Did you get my message?
I probably
I
got
sent.
it. That don't mean I saw it.
Okay, I sent what I wrote. Can I read it to you?
Did you
Or you
see
could.
what I told you that I would have wrote?
What?
I sent you a message. I guess you didn't see my message.
Oh no, I haven't. Let me go in and look. I figured you were too busy, so you were on it, huh?
I sent you back a message saying I wouldn't have wrote that. I would have wrote this.
Okay, so you defined it for me. Thank you very much.
I would have definitely not sent your letter.
Well, I haven't sent it. That's why I'm trying to help you. Thank you kindly for your last letter. Since I have not received a bill as of yet, would you please send me a bill? The letter you sent me says it's a form. I thought I was supposed to quote all that back Black's Law something. I'm not?
No, make it simple. The Fifth Amendment does what? Guarantees you the right to not self-incriminate, right? See, people think about what they say. They don't think about what they write. They don't know how to make things simple. If you put down a book, you're going to give them a way out.
Okay.
Most people write a book. They don't know how to make it short and concise. That is why I told you this is what I would write. Thank you kindly for your last letter. Since I have not received a bill as of yet, would you please send me a bill? The letter you sent says it's a form, and form is defined as the customary method of drafting legal documents.
Okay. Well, that day we talked, you went into all this Black's Law stuff, and we even
I
talked about
told
it.
you, yeah, and I told you then that I'm just coming off the top of my head driving down the road. I didn't sit down and actually write it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
You've got to learn. Yeah, you should not write all of that stuff because you're giving them a way out. You're admitting. Okay, let's look at it. Thank you for your letter of replies to your 2 letters of replies to my questions regarding legal tender. I am more than willing to make a payment. You stated Black's Law defines bills and coins. You're already telling him when you do that, you're coming from that definition. So that means what? He's going to automatically presume when you say send me a bill that it applies to that definition. Well, if it doesn't apply to that definition in your next letter and you don't bring it up, he might not think about it. He might say, oh, she needs a bill. Let me send it so I can get her so she will pay it. Now he says, based on how that's worded, what does he respond by? He might respond, that form I sent you is a bill. Okay, guess what? That's his response. Him testifying against himself by saying that is a bill. So what do? You make a copy of that letter for your records. You attach it to the form, and then endorse the form on the back and send it back to him with a letter that says, "Please accept this bill as payment." You get him to admit it's a bill.
Got it. Do you think he'll let it slide like that, or what do you think the next step could be?
Again, I told you, your paperwork is in the progression of you taking them to small claims court. If you're not willing to go to court, you just might as well pay the money and be done with it. People think Oh, I don't want to ever have to go to court. Then you don't have any rights. Because where's the fight happen?
So do I have to then file a claim in smuggling's court? Is that the next step? Because he's not going to send me a
No,
letter.
not yet. No,
Okay.
he will probably send you a letter that says this is your bill. Or he'll say, no, that form I sent you is the bill. Then guess what? Now that becomes evidence for you to produce in court. Hey, he said in this letter that bills and coins are payment. He said in this letter that the form is a bill. So, Your Honor, all I did was endorse it and send it back to him because he said it's a form of payment.
And you think the judge then releases it at that point?
He's going to have to. You produced evidence. He has to take your understanding into consideration. And if you can make it make logical, concise sense under the law, under the contract agreement that y'all have, guess what?
Okay. I took more notes. Thank you.
You're welcome. James H., just because it doesn't say it's a trust sometimes doesn't mean it isn't. Go look at the Declaration of Independence. That's a trust. Does it say anywhere in it that it's a trust? No. But if you know trust law, you recognize the pattern. To create a trust, there has to be a declaration of trust. What do they call it? A Declaration of Independence. What did they put in it? They put all their honor, their property, their fortunes, et cetera, because that becomes the trust res. Now the trustees are listed in the Constitution. Now they can manage the res.
Pat, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So, I know you said that we're the agent. We're not the beneficiary. As I'm sure you know, there are groups out there that have you endorse an instrument with as beneficiary. I did that. And I basically set off medical bill with $1,500, and I got, after about 3 months, I got a letter back from, I guess it was the bank that issued it, saying, totally paid off, and it was calling me the guarantor. It said guarantor, and then it had my name, and then the bill was paid. I guess I'm asking, is that why would they call me the guarantor?
Because the all caps name is the guarantor. Isn't the name of the trust the all caps name?
Okay. So the all caps trust is the guarantor, but we're not the guarantor. I guess
No.
we're the agent.
You're the agent. That's not you.
Okay.
See, you're not that name. You're not that trust, because if you say you are, then you're property of the United States, because it says on the back of the card they own that card. If that card's you, then you're their property. Now, me personally, I don't now, yeah, okay, you had success signing it that way as beneficiary. Okay, great. Just further proves what I keep saying. Sometimes you can do the wrong process and still have success. For one, you don't know who you're going against. You don't know what that person knows. Okay. And two, if you had to prove it in court that you're the beneficiary, could you? Where's your evidence?
Well, one evidence I have is I called myself that, and they didn't rebuttal it. And not only that, they processed it. They set it off. Why didn't they tell me?
That has nothing to do with the trust. That is a third party that you contracted with. They don't have the power to appoint you as beneficiary. They just accepted your instrument. Because why? If you make a negotiable instrument, I don't care how you write it. If the third party accepts the instrument and they honor it, so be it. That doesn't mean you are that. That's what I'm saying.
So if I do that moving forward, would it be better to call, say, the agent instead of beneficiary? My signature.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't do business with a third party ever. I'd do business with the trustees because that's who you're the agent of. Under the law of agency, your job isn't to go settle things with the third party. Now, does that mean you can't? No. But that's why you need to know what to do so you can go back to the principal and say, hey, I paid your person's debt. I need a reimbursement. Would you ever go work at your job and pay for something for the company without getting a reimbursement?
Right. So is it better instead of sending the coupon or the negotiable instrument to the third party to look up who is the trustee, try to find the address there, and send it directly?
Signatories to the trustee reports will tell you who the trustees are.
Signatories to the trust reports.
Yep. First link in Google, you'll see it. It's titled exactly that way.
Signatories. Can you say it again, please?
How about this? How about I just show you?
Thank you. Also, you mentioned the file. The links are in the file. Is that a website? Before I forget, is that your website where the files are?
There's file section in Telegram.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking through it. I've been looking through it. I couldn't find anything called the commercial paper, but I'll keep looking.
You're not looking in the file section. You're not typing the right word. Look right there. Look on the screen.
Gotcha.
Is that not the trustees? Yeah, it is. Who's the obligor? They are. Didn't they say the New Deal was to do it to make it all government obligations? Why is it government obligations?
So you actually send the negotiable instrument directly to them?
I've got two ladies in here that did the administrative process with the trustees in a debt collection case. They produced their file to the court, and the court started addressing them as a general agent for the name. And if the agent does their duty, the agent has no liability.
Nice. So no writing to any third parties with any bills. Best to send them all directly here.
Not until you get a promotion. And what I mean by a promotion, when you do things right and you get appointed as power of attorney or executor or guardian or conservator or trustee, now you can start doing business with the third parties. So now you have that authority.
Gotcha. Very helpful.
I'm gonna show y'all something here. I've shown this only a few times, but I've talked about it numerous times. Look at this. This is on the FBI website. When it comes to anything with the system or legal stuff, they are very careful how they say things. Now, this is talking also about CPNs. Perpetrators are also using credit enhancement schemes, but that's not the one I want. Right here, it says credit privacy numbers are 9-digit file numbers that follow the same algorithm as Social Security account numbers. So what are they talking about? SSNs and CPNs. Currently, federal law allows individuals to legally use CPNs for financial reporting and protects those individuals who do not wish to disclose their SSAN. Individuals who acquire CPNs are completely responsible for any debt they incur using this number. Why do they not say that about a SSN? So you want to get separate from the system and actually do things a certain way, then you're accepting all the liability. Let that sink in. They don't say that about an SSN. They say that about a CPN. Do you want all the liability? Do you want the ownership? If you do, pay the tax, because the owners pay the obligations.
So if I was a business owner and I just happened to do a corporation, let's say an S corporation, which kind of essentially does the same thing, creates that legal entity. But how would I go about undoing that?
Why would you want to undo it?
Well, I'm not saying I would, but
for me to answer your question, I need to understand what your thought process is, because did you create the S Corp or did the social create it? Because when you go get the EIN, don't they ask who created it? We need your name and taxpayer ID number.
Well, I did through an attorney.
Yeah, and then he took the name and the social.
Call 45 safety check.
And we did that, and we did we've got the EIN through the filing, so I have to do the quarterly minutes 4 times a year. And
yeah, but I think you're missing what I'm saying. Did you, the man, create it, or did you, as the agent for the trust, use the trust to create the S Corp?
That I'm unsure of. I mean, the lawyer did all the work, so
No, you're not unsure. When he filled out the paperwork, did he not already have the all caps name and your social?
I would imagine he did. I mean, it's been over 20 years ago, so
Yeah.
it's,
Everybody that gets an EIN, if you create a trust, if you create an LLC, if you create a sole proprietorship, any of these EIN documents, the IRS always asks who is the creator of it. And they want what? The all caps name and the social. That makes it trust property.
trust property, as in my all
Social
caps.
Security. Correct. Yeah. That's why everything is a franchise of the United States. Everything ties back to the social, which is federal property.
Yeah, I get that to a certain degree. I just, when the lawyer set all that up, he said, well, we're going to do this to protect you from, being sued and that. But the funny thing is all the controversy I've been involved in, the first thing the bar members try to do is pierce the corporate veil, and then try to get the money. Yeah.
Yeah, because why? They're trying to take assets from the trustees. Who are the trustees? Not you. They admitted that in Bankruptcy and Revised Article 9, Part 1. I put a video up the other day on YouTube that said that. And what did all the attorneys and professors do when they said that? They all laughed. They're not representing you in court. They're representing that trust. And whichever attorney wins gets to collect the prize. I know that to be a fact because after that family court case, after I did the GSA bonds, after it was completely over, I talked to the last attorney that supposedly I had. I said, "What'd you think about all that stuff I did in the court case?" They said, "Oh, I can't talk to you about that because of attorney-client privilege." And everybody said that I played that phone call to said, "Wait a minute, wasn't that your attorney?" I said, "No. I was the dummy. I was the straw man. I was playing the part. He was representing the trust."
Yeah, and the last time I went to small claims court because I took somebody to court, the judge said that I could represent the corporation to a certain degree, but I could not cross-examine the other party. So, I mean, some of the
But
stuff comes out subtle, yeah.
yeah, well, you can't cross-examine because why? You haven't got your paperwork in order to have that authority. It's all about what is your authority. If you're the implied agent of that trust, you go out and create businesses, you create securities, all in the name of that trust to make it profitable. The problem is you're not doing your job as the agent telling them you're doing anything. So guess what happens? They can't set off the debt.
Teacher was clear that phone call and my telephone.
How can the trustees do their job when we're not telling the trustees? We're acting as a gratuitous agent, volunteering for all the liability, and we're working for this company for free, and we are volunteering for all the liability.
Yeah, but it's not like you get a manual with us. You know, you're not, even
You
when
need a
I
manual.
incorporated
If
as
I
a
tell
business.
you, yes, Chris, but on the back of the card, it plainly says that they own it. And
No,
none,
I'm not
all,
refuting. Yeah, I'm not
yeah,
refuting that one bit because it does, and you're
yeah.
right. And I never paid attention to it. I was just,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we
like I
never
said.
asked the question, well, if it's not mine, how should I be operating it?
Well, neither did the lawyer when it came to setting up the corporation. You know, he
They're
gives you a
just,
vague description.
yeah, most attorneys are mediocre at best. You want to know whether or not it's a good attorney? What's his hourly rate? Who does he work for? The bigger the law firm, the more that attorney knows, and the more they know this stuff.
You're clear that way.
But not every attorney. You get a mediocre attorney, yeah, they don't probably know this stuff until you get somebody they can talk to that can actually explain it to them. And then they like, oh, I had a family court attorney in California. I spent 2 hours on the phone with him explaining all this stuff. And at the end of it, he said, holy crap, I've watched all kinds of videos on YouTube of these sovereign citizens saying this stuff, and they make no sense. He said, you're actually the first one that makes sense. He understood it all once it was put in the right perspective. Once you can lay out the proper evidence and articulate it, they can't dispute it. Because they built it. Mark Pegg has got an IRS fight going on I've been helping him with. We did the administrative process over the tax bill. That changed a little thing up, changed some things up on how the IRS is doing things. Now the IRS is still playing games. Play stupid games, you get stupid prizes. So they're playing games. What are we doing? We're writing their letters, building a case against them. We already have the ratification that the trustees silently agreed to. We've got his corporate documents. In the corporate documents, he's indemnified, which means he holds no liability and he's not even part of the company, but the IRS is still coming after him saying he owes the money. No, you need to go after the company that owes the money, not him. He's indemnified.
And I want to expand on that here in a minute, but I have to step out for just a minute here.
Okay. Indemnification means not liable.
So I found the book. It's called Gilbert Law Summaries, Commercial Paper and Payment Law. Is that the one you're referring to?
Sure is.
Okay. It's a nice brick. It looks amazing, though.
Hey, I know people that took that book down to the office supply place and had it printed out in spiral bound so they could hold it and read it. Because some people
That's what I'm going to do.
books.
Yeah, I'm going to do that for sure. Because then you can highlight things right in there. Super helpful.
Yep.
Awesome.
Merry Christmas, brothers and sisters out there. Happy holiday or whatever you celebrate. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. He is born this day. Pastor, what's up, man?
Why you lie?
What you talking about? Why I lie?
He wasn't born today.
Well, we just saying he's born this day. That's what we celebrate. He was born one day.
He was born in
Wasn't he?
September.
But he was born one day, wasn't he?
He was born one day, but it was in September when he was born.
Well, there you go. Happy September birthday today. You ever had your birthday celebrated on the wrong day? I have. My birthday, December 28th. They celebrated my birthday Christmas. They celebrated my birthday Christmas Eve. And I was born. Well, this is your birthday present. Well, this is your Christmas present. So I ain't worried about what day it is.
I don't mind. Look, I don't mind doing Christmas. I just don't call it Jesus' birthday no more because it's not. Let's say it for what it is. We're appreciating each other and giving gifts and enjoying each other's company. So yes, Merry Christmas. But am I going to say it's Jesus' birthday? No.
Nah.
There was a video that did a very good presentation that I don't remember exactly the day they said it was, but it makes perfect sense. I want to say September 5th, but don't quote me on that. But it's like the first or second week of September.
Yeah, but a lot of folks say it was September 11th, for the September 11th deal.
Yes.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get into a lot of trouble with my wife, because I don't really celebrate Christmas per se, because it ain't the day. But I ain't got no problem with passing out gifts or whatever. But she don't like to even hear me say it's not the day. I'm like, whatever day it is, as long as he was born, which he was,
and
he came to do what he came to do.
I got a feeling you get in trouble with your wife a lot more than that.
Oh, man, all the time.
I mean, you married, I'm married, I understand.
Yeah. That's just one small window.
That's why I joke around. That's why I joke around. I said, I married her. She tolerates me.
Amen. I agree. I agree.
Let's switch devices for the moment.
Got a crazy dog keep eating candy, man. What's up with that? The dog is like an old lab. For some reason, if you put anything on the table, and this dog's 8 years old, never did this before in his life. I guess he's having his final run. Just taking everything off the table. Never did this. You leave the house. Oh yeah. Today he had all my grandkids' Christmas presents all munched up. It was a nice day. Woke up today, it was like the Grinch came in. Fun.
So, anybody else got thoughts and questions? And Reconnect, thank you for the message. I appreciate it. It means a lot.
I got a question about the church.
Yeah.
You know, my son had an event that occurred in the church. And so the church is part of the system and it's a 501c3. Is that correct?
Well, I don't know. You'd have to ask them. What is their filings?
Yeah. I mean, I looked it up, but what I'm trying to find out is where is the separation between church and state? I mean, I'm literally talking about the church and the state.
Would you show me anywhere there is this thing called a separation of church and state?
Well, it's a concept, obviously. It didn't just start out of nowhere.
It's an invalid concept because it don't exist.
So when Jesus was going against the state, or was he going against the religious leaders? He never went against the state. He said, give unto God what is God, give unto Caesar what is Caesar.
He was going against a religious system. Because why? They were doing things wrong.
But when he said, give unto Caesar what is Caesar, give unto God what is God, that's the separation of church and state right there. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, I didn't hear what you said. You're dinging and wind's blowing.
You hear it? You hear it, man? Isn't it beautiful? I'm out here in
try again.
I'm doing the separation of church and state. You say it's not in the Bible. Didn't he say, give unto Caesar what is Caesar, give unto God what is God? Is that the separation of church and state?
No, that is not the definition of church and separation of church and state.
I didn't say that
separation
was the definition, but I said, but isn't
that
that
is a
separation?
That is a separation of public and private.
Well, why?
Because you are missing one key thing. Who instituted government?
Man.
No. God.
Man instituted government.
No.
Hold on. I know what you're talking about. I know what it says. It says God instituted Romans 13. I know the verse. I'm saying in 1 Samuel, when they first was it 1 Samuel 13, whatever it was, when they put Saul,
in 1 Samuel, God did no. Man did not institute. No, man did not institute government. Man said, "Give us a king." Before that, what was government? A theocracy.
Wasn't government God first before they? Wait a minute.
It was it was a theocracy. Because why? God was the head of government. See, when God instituted government, he instituted it for a purpose. Right?
Well, you talking about, didn't he do the book of Judges? That was the theocracy. But they were why did the Israelites or the Jews, why did they want their own king then, because everybody else was not operating from God's law. They were the only ones, correct?
Yeah,
Or no?
but see, God said, hey, let there be government, but I give man free will choice to decide the type of government.
But that was after. That was when? When did he say that? I'm just trying to figure. When in this Bible did he say, "Don't follow me, follow the other ones"? Or was it when his people said, we want to follow other
Ain't
kings like
left.
everybody else"? You know what I'm talking about? I mean, I'm getting the story, but I thought what would be quintessential meaning of separation of church and state was when God said, "Let's give unto Caesar what is Caesar, give unto God what is God's." Now that may be public and private, but isn't God in the private then?
Al,
I mean, that sounds like that.
you're
That sounds like
no.
separation.
If it's God's institution and it's doing its job, is there a separation? No.
So why did he say that then?
Who said
Caesar.
that?
Who said give unto Caesar what is Caesar, give unto God what is God? Jesus said that.
Yeah. What is the principle behind it? Who made it? Caesar. So give him what he owns.
Exactly. And God made man, or man outside of
That
Caesar's
doesn't
government, I
mean
guess.
there's a separation between church and state. That just means, hey, Caesar created that. Give him his property.
God created that. Give him his property. I'm only saying that because I'm trying to separate from the church. I'm trying to separate my son from the church, from not following, from claiming to be the church, what is God, private, and then all of a sudden you're under 501c3, so there is no separation. Okay, I mean I'm good with it, but
There
it just
is
doesn't
no
sound like it.
separation. There's never been a separation. Go look through every empire throughout history. There has never been a separation. Even the United States was registered at one time in Delaware as a religious corporation.
So why did you say come out of Babylon if there's no separation?
Because Babylon is what?
The state.
The wrong type of, no, not the state. It's the wrong type of government. It's rebellious. Go back and read Psalms 82.
Like my
If you
bells.
want to really, if you really want to understand the fact that God instituted government, read Psalms 82.
Well, their go-to verse, they don't go to Psalms. They go to Romans 13.
Yeah, but it applies, because what did he say in Psalms 82? He told the leaders at that time, who was what? The fallen angels, right? He said, how long? He said, the God standeth in the congregation of the mighty. In other words, the Els, right? He judgeth among the gods, Elohim plural. Who were those Elohim? The angels. How long will ye judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? What is he saying here? Government. Defend the poor and the fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High, but ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. See, when God instituted government, it went all the way back to Genesis 11. Now, the angels didn't do what God said do, so what did he do? He had Israel. He told them to do the same thing. Well, they didn't do it. And then he rose up the church, told the church to do the same thing. And guess what? They're not doing it. Now, do you see what I'm saying, Al?
Sounds good. It's interesting.
And what was the reason for God setting up government? Because man failed. Man was supposed to self-rule. But what did man do in the garden? And the founding fathers understood this. That's why one of the founding fathers, I think it was Ben Franklin, said there will be those that can govern from within and those that will need to be governed from without.
So is membership, one more question, is membership of the church a contract or a quasi-contract?
Everything is contracts. Everything in this entire system is contracts. Agency and contracts. Everything. You can't even live in this world without it being a contract. What's a social contract? A social contract is how a group of people agree to work amongst themselves.
Grand practice.
So everything in some way, shape, or form is a contract.
Hey everyone, I just dropped in to say Merry Christmas, love y'all, have peace and love in your heart for your fellow brothers and sisters, and may love go out through the world for you.
So do you like that texture better?
So, I mean, she sounded like she's got it down pat. I know. So, when you start understanding everything as a contract and you start learning the principles of contracts, that's part of how you learn to navigate everything.
Yeah, everything's a contract. Everything's contract. Everything.
Now the question is what are the terms of the contract, Al? You decided to be a member of that organization. So what did they say? You have a certain obligation to act a certain way. They want you to help support the bills in that church by paying your tithes. Because why? That organization has bills too. And then God, what is a covenant in the Bible? A covenant is just a stronger word for contracts. So even God makes contracts.
Covenant is a contract. Compact is a contract. A charter is a contract.
An
All these
agreement.
different words are all contracts. They're still all
Yeah.
contracts. I don't care how
Yeah.
you word it. It's still a contract.
Still a contract.
Still a contract. Not to be confused with contracting or expanding.
I mean, if you don't agree with the contract anymore, you can change contracts and go to a different church.
Mom.
Yeah. Now, back in the truck. By the way, y'all, I highly recommend y'all take some time and read this document. I'm going to drop it in the group. It's called Hearsay Dangers and the Application of the Hearsay Concept.
Morning, all.
So anybody else got thoughts, questions?
Yeah, Pastor, can you tell me what it was you said you were just going to share we should read?
I just put it in. It's right there in the files. It's about hearsay.
Okay, perfect, got it. I didn't catch it all. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything outside of firsthand knowledge is hearsay. And if it is not firsthand knowledge, you run the risk of lying, and then the court can have their way with you. They just won't point blank tell you that you're committing perjury. I don't remember who it was I was talking to the other day, but I think it was Derek Gonzalez. Actually, that was who it was. He said he went to the court one day and the state attorney was the attorney general was there, and he got to talking to him, and he said, "So what you doing here today?" He said, "I'm just watching everybody commit perjury." Because everyone gets up there and says things out of their mouth as a fact that they have no firsthand knowledge of. And that's also why in today's society, nobody can recognize what truth is. Everybody thinks truth is subjective because they've been a liar for so long. Even the Bible tells us that we lie all the time, confess our sins every day.
Well, if you really think about it, the entire schooling system has gone up through K through 12 has been all hearsay.
Yeah, because do you have any firsthand knowledge of dinosaurs? No, you just got evidentiary records, and then you just base your information on the best evidence you can find. I mean, it's like I've said it before. Every single religion in this world could be wrong. It's not possible that every religion is right. Because one, all we can do is review the evidence to the best of our ability, and then we base it on that evidence to bring our belief. It's no different when it comes to law. The judge wants to know, what do you believe? But if you go in there stating a bunch of things that you think is fact, instead of saying, well, Your Honor, I'm actually led to believe this name is property of the United States through the Social Security Administration, like Popeye did. And he also said something about, for me to misuse that name would be legal name fraud. You know, now you're telling him what you believe. And a belief isn't always backed up by evidence that is concrete. That is subjective. Now, the fact that the United States owns it through the Social Security Administration, that's a fact. It says it on the back of the card. Judge can't rebut that. That's why everybody's going into court making these name arguments. They're not doing it right. And it's funny. They took what a guru told them and decided to run with it, and then they got themselves in trouble by not paying for the house and doing this, that, and the other until they had the knowledge to actually do something.
Well, there's been no one that can give me cognitive dissonance, none like you. And there's no lie into that at all, because I don't even know what to even think of the world anymore.
I have that effect on people. I don't mean to. It just happens. I just turn their world upside down. Everything they thought they knew, they realize, wait a minute, that's why it don't make sense. I mean, trust me, I've had to go through that myself. When I first started waking up, I was bothered. I was upset because I was like, man, I've been lied to this much. And then I started realizing one day, I said, wait a minute, it's my own fault. Because why? I put trust in everybody else instead of reading it for myself.
Sometimes you take that trust. Well, like in my world, where I've got a business that I run, so I depend on like CPAs and people like that on documents that's being executed for the IRS. And then you realize if there's a problem that they're not really responsible, although I believe they hold a fiduciary obligation for what they do.
Who, the attorney or the CPA? Or both?
Well, most CPAs, they operate, pretty much in their own little realm. So CPA is not an attorney, and that's a hard lesson to learn if you're a
Yeah, but
businessman.
if you know how to defend it, that CPA is your agent. When the agent screws up, they're liable.
And that's exactly where I'm at, because I allowed a CPA to convince me to do the employee retention credit. And now I'm getting letters from the IRS saying that it's not filled out. It wasn't filled out correctly, or quite possibly our company was never eligible to receive that money based on those employees. And so they're trying to claw the money back.
Read the book Commercial Paper. Learn how to issue an instrument. I mean, my dad, now I am not 100% against the SPC process. Only part I've got that I'm bothered by is what they believe about the name. So, okay. So outside of that, my dad did a job at a guy's house that years ago did the SPC process, and he's a multimillionaire. And my dad called me one day and he said, man, you ain't going to believe this house. Oh my gosh, this thing is nice. It's probably worth every bit of $2.5 million. I know my dad well enough to know that that is not why he called me to brag about a house, because I've built houses. He's built houses. We've been there, done that, seen that. It's no big deal. Okay. I said, yeah. He said, yeah. And he said, and I got to talking to this guy about the stuff you've been talking about, and he knew it all. He finished every sentence I said. He knew it, the birth certificate, the whole 9 yards. But that was still back then when I still looked at it as my name. And then him and Dad got to talking about taxes, and he said, yeah, that he actually got a letter from the IRS saying he owed money. He went home on his computer wrote up a payment bond right there on his computer, printed it out, mailed it to the IRS, and they sent him back a letter that said, thank you for your payment. If you don't hear anything from us within 90 days, this matter is settled. He never heard nothing else. Dad said, wait a minute, you didn't issue a note, bill of exchange? He said, nope. I wrote up a payment bond and sent it to him. He didn't have to pay any money out. He knew how the game was played. That's why I say you can do things slightly wrong, but if you know the principles underlying it, you'll have success. But if you know the principles and you do it right, nobody will be able to touch you.
No, I'm not saying I possess any of that at this particular moment.
You'll get there. You really will. I didn't get there overnight. I'll tell you that now. I did some of the same stuff when I fought that 7-year court battle that other people did. It takes time to get it to make sense in your mind. It does. Once it's there and it becomes part of your heart, then it gets simple because out of the heart comes the issues of life. So anybody got questions, thoughts? Feel free, speak up.
Pastor, what class did you say was coming up next month?
How to perfect the administrative process and how to do it and how to create your own ledger.
Okay, is that in the website on the?
Not yet.
Okay, I'll look for it then. Thank you.
You're welcome. Nobody got thoughts?
Pastor,
Yes.
I wanted to wish you all a blessed and safe Christmas. I have to bow out for family commitments, so have a blessed and enjoy.
You also, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thinking about writing an article about that. Are you a belligerent and bringing war against the Creator? That's based on Al, just so y'all know. What did Al ask me? You can blame him.
You know I don't mind. Hey, man, my namesake. Let's go.
Yeah, you sent me on that path, and now I'm going to have to write an article on it showing who owns what. And since it's God's institution, are you warring against God?
The one that you ordered? Yeah, we have it right here.
Right. When I cook, can I please have the
That's why I like talking to y'all. Y'all give me ideas.
I love to make minds inspired minds to think. There we go.
Yep. We all do that. That's why I don't restrict information here. Everybody's got something to bring to the table because everybody's on their own path. Yes.
The most convenient way to do business with us is to visit ssa.gov. On that photo I just posted. It's I got a social security card replacement earlier this year, and I just kept everything as it was.
Hey.
Not throwing anything away.
Hey, look on it. You got people in these communities saying it's identity theft and you need to go to the IRS and file this form for identity theft, right? No. It tells you right on the card who you're to go to. Doesn't it say the Federal Trade Commission?
Yeah. Consumer.gov/ID theft.
Uh-huh. Not only that, who is the actual consumer? The trust, not you, because why? Everything's in the name of the trust. You want consumer protection, you probably should get your documents in order. Mona,
Yes, sir. I'm here.
you're familiar with the Minnesota Assumed Name Certificate, right?
Yes.
Have you actually read the top of the certificate?
Oh, maybe not. When you ask that. Oh, man.
It says the filing of an assumed name does not provide a user with exclusive rights to the name. So that means what? You're not the owner, right? The filing is required for consumer protection in order to enable customers to be able to identify the true owner of a business. So does that only apply to customers, or does it also apply to the business?
Could you repeat that again? What you
The
just
filing is required for consumer protection in order. So already, you know, it's required for what? Consumer protection in order to enable customers to be able to identify the true owner of a business. Well, if the first sentence says you're not the owner because you don't have exclusive rights, who is the owner? The consumer, which is what? The all caps name, the social. So you got people out there teaching consumer law, but you can't have standing in a court if your paperwork is not in order. So how are you going to get consumer protection if you don't do things right? See what I'm saying, Mona?
So you said who is it? Who owns it? Did you say that who owns it? The consumer or the business? Is that what you asked?
Who's the owner of the name? Wouldn't that be the trust?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that make the trust the consumer?
Mm-hmm.
And to get consumer protection, you got to have your documents in order, because now they know who's doing it. Now, you wasn't here last night, so I'm going to show you something. Now, you already know this. Where is the location of the debtor? At least I presume you know this.
DC.
DC. That's clearly laid out, right? So if the location of the debtor is DC and the United States owns that name and it is not domiciled in DC and it is a resident of one of the states, shouldn't you probably let the owner know where it's doing business?
Yes, I understand that part. Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is right out of the DC code for the trade name. For the purposes of this subchapter, business means business as defined by that section. Entity means a business corporation, nonprofit, general partnership, including limited liability, a limited partnership, blah, 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 blah. A statutory trust, a business trust, a common law business trust, or any person that has a legal existence separate from any interest holder of that person or the power to acquire an interest in real property in its own name. It don't say his or her own name. It says its own name.
But why do they keep saying he and she? when they describe these entities?
Just because it says he and she somewhere else, does that mean it's applies in this section? Go read the scope and rules to see what that code applies to.
My question is that if they're always entities, how do they take on he and she attributes?
Shoot, nowadays most people don't even know what their gender is, so I don't know.
That's good. Yeah, they messing it all up by identifying as objects that are not, well, they're male and female. Yeah, it's confusing.
Now, what have I been saying recently about the last name? Stop using it in the public, right? What does it say right there at the bottom of the page? True and real name means the surname. What's that? The last name. So that means true name and real name. And is a separator, correct? So true and real name. The surname of an individual, the surname is the true name, coupled with one or more of the individual's other names, one or more of the individual's initials, or any combination thereof. So the other part of the name don't matter. What matters? Let's see. I saw this yesterday. Trade name application shall be executed by the sole proprietor of a sole proprietorship or the governor of the entity or authorized person on behalf of the governor. How many times have I been pointing out that birth certificate is a registered organization and it's under the authority of the governor? And how many times has it been said that the state owns that record and the government admits it's theirs? Why do they want to know the governor? So they know who the owner of the name is, of the account. You're just the authorized person, which is synonymous with what? Registered agent.
Yeah, I was just looking at my articles in the corporation, how I was talking to you earlier about me starting a business.
Mm-hmm.
And looking through it, and yeah, it says, the attorney who actually, brought, I guess, the documents, filed the documents and everything, but I had to sign as the incorporator, but also it's interesting. It actually says that I shall be the agent for demands to be served.
Correct.
So didn't you say if I was the agent, then I'm not responsible for the principal? Is that correct?
That's correct. That's what the law of agency says.
Well, why would the IRS send me a document saying that I have to pay this money back, and if I don't, then I'll be federally charged?
Why are you assuming? Why are you assuming that you in that instrument is you?
Well, I'm not. I'm just reading the letter at face value. That's what the letter says, which would be, in my opinion, would be mail fraud. But
no, it's not mail fraud. I have shown this picture numerous times. Now I got to go find it. It's right in front of everybody's face. They just don't see it. And this was a T-Mobile contract.
I remember seeing that.
What did it say? If you are the agent of the organization, then you bind the organization? That's why I keep saying we're a bunch of freaking narcissists. Because why? We keep thinking it's about us. When it clearly lays out in the Social Security Act, you is defined as someone who owes a debt to the United States. You see that document, you see the word you, and you think it's about you. But who is you? You don't know. You're making a presumption. And if you ask them who you is, what are they going to tell you? They're going to give you the all caps name and the social. Is that actually you, Chris?
I would argue no, but I don't know that I could competently defend that position.
Not yet. You'll get there. Here it is. Look at this. This is the filing documents in DC. Name of individual or organization, comma, parentheses, entity using the trade name. Well, what's the birth certificate? An organization. Who owns the organization? The state. So go down here. Name and street address of organization's governor, parentheses, authorized persons. Complete business address, registered agent's name and address in the District of Columbia, if there is one. Name of the governor or authorized person. Who's the authorized person? And you know, remember back in the founding of this country, where was the original capital of the United States? Wasn't it in Philadelphia? And you know what's interesting about this form? Where are you supposed to send it to?
Philadelphia.
How far is Philadelphia from DC? You got to ask the question, why Philadelphia?
Because it's the city of brotherly love.
No, I think it's because the original capital is still there. That's where the King's Bench is. I saw that last night on the freaking address. I said, holy crap. Is that because that's where the Republic capital is? Not the corporate capital. The corporate capital is in DC. See, you're making presumptions on these words and what they mean without ever asking them. Well, I mean,
That's
you
true.
have a, yeah, go ahead.
You know how they register the 3 products of conception, right? There's like the placenta, the umbilical cord, and then like, the baby was never registered.
Yeah.
Wouldn't there be a death certificate for the placenta and or the umbilical cord?
Yeah, because why do you think it was placed in probate?
And so I was looking through the medical procedure for like birth registration. The CDC's got a 1987 copy on here, and the table of contents talks about general instructions for completing certificates and reports. There's completing the live birth certificate. completing the report of fetal death, which is part 3. And then part 4 is completing the cause of fetal death. So wouldn't you be able to get the death certificate for the placenta or umbilical cord?
What right do you have to get the property of someone else?
That's what I was thinking, is that it would be getting the certificate of death, the
Again,
certificate of fetal death.
again, who owns the record?
They do.
Do you have a right to get that property?
I was seeing that the parents would have to have written authorization for you to
No.
receive that.
No, because the parents didn't come in as the mother and father. They come in as the custodian.
Ooh.
The custodian is not an owner. When I had the conversation I had with the clerk, I said, look, I can't go get the records so I can do my job. She understood what I was talking about. That's why she said, don't worry, when I get back, I got what you need. And I said, okay. But if you can't go in there and sit down with them privately and have this kind of conversation and know how to articulate it, they're not going to give you what you need. You got to prove to them you're competent. And you're not trying to war against them.
Right.
It's their property. I'm fine with letting them have it. I've shown this a few times. Do you want to bring shame to yourself? What does it say right there? Y'all see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so it says, and they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name. What is that name? It's spelled shame. Let us make a shame of ourselves. See, we're out there trying to make a name of ourselves, going after that name, instead of saying, wait a minute, it's not mine. So we're bringing shame upon ourselves. And look at this. How many different ways? Desolate. So you're trying to bring desolation upon yourself. Guilt. What's a desert? Goes back to desolate. That's pretty interesting that that word name means that. And the Hebrew word is spelled shame. Everybody's chasing after that name when all it does is bring you shame. Instead of saying, hey, I'm the agent. I don't hold the liability. It's yours. I'm just supposed to operate it and be a good steward, because how many times does the Bible say you are to be a good steward? A steward is not an owner. A steward is an agent operating it on behalf of the owner. And when the steward is a good steward, the steward has no liability. See what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Look, these judges and these attorneys, you can find their filings if you look in the right place online. They do the same thing with the all caps name. Shoot, the judge in that family court case I was in, when I found his filings, he had the all caps name as the debtor. He had something else set up as the creditor. I said, holy crap, he knows this stuff. Want to be wealthy, do what the wealthy do. They sit there and put everything right out in the public showing you what they're doing, but you're not paying attention.